So welcome to Eden Smith's Speak on Upskilling. So today we're going to be talking about how in not just today's data world, but tomorrow's kind of intelligent world, do we actually kind of upskill, solve the skills gap that's being created in the market, but actually get ROI on the money and the time that we invest to getting that upskilling and bringing our workforce forward. So just a show of hands, first of all, who is more interested in upskilling themselves, and here's here to find about upskilling themselves in the data industry? Okay, cool. Who's interested in how they upskill their teams and the enterprise organisations that they have? So we've got a bit of a 50-50 mix, so I'll try and touch on both sides as we go through the presentation, and just with a few more people struggling in, that's fine. And hopefully, although I'm a bit of a techie, hopefully my clicker works and we get all this right. So, tomorrow's world, and I'm not talking far in the distance here, 6 years away, 2025, one of the great things that's coming, apparently, is this thing. So this is a city taxi. It's full electric. It's self-driving or flying, I suppose, and it's going to transport us from airports to cities by 2025. They're going to be in the air across New York. Just take a moment to think about what it takes to actually produce this, to actually get this and actually get it productionized in the industry. You have to think about the digital aspects. These are going to be ordered on apps, kind of like flying Uber, right? So there's a digital aspect of this. You've got the actual engineering and the manufacturing of being able to produce an aeroplane that can take off. I mean, we've got them in the army already, but for people to be able to take off vertically and go through. So the engineering part of that. You've got IoT sensors around it in the facilities trying to help control, understand what's going on. We've got connectivity. If you've got loads of these flying through the air, we're going to need to know where they are in airspace, whether that's with 5G networks, whether it's with some other radio wave technology, radar technology, who knows, and ultimately we've got data. Now, quite often we've been talking about data as a fourth industrial revolution and how it's blowing up and everyone needs data skills, but really tomorrow's world is about these 5 elements coming together to create new products and new customer services. So how do we kind of prepare that for ourselves as a workforce or for our organisation, particularly for the one we're all here for, right, data? So a lot of people say there isn't a skills gap in data. They say, oh yeah, do you know what, it was a few years ago, but we've had all these courses come by, all these people come through, it's a bit of a myth. I can tell you now that it's not a myth. According to the Gartner reports, 120 million people worldwide will need to be reskilled and retrained within the next 5 years because of the impact of AI. Jobs that will no longer exist, and we'll have to think about how we work as a workforce and take things forward. The European Commission, not that it maybe affects us after the next few months, but say that 100,000 new data-related roles and jobs will be created in 2020. And actually the Royal Society say that in the UK, the demand for data-specific workforce skills has trebled over the last 5 years, going up to 231%. So massively creating a demand for skills in data and in these other technologies. So a few cameras, I'll wait a moment for you to get that picture. The Fourth Industrial Revolution report got released this morning, interviewing CDO leaders around the industry, actually cites, and it's a little bit small on this screen, but actually cites that upskilling for both technical and business skills is our go-to choice for how we want to tackle and mitigate that data skills gap. Great, we've got a workforce already, they're going to be out of the job, let's send them some new skills. But how do we do that? And this next one, I suppose, is for, we're going to throw some money at it, that's fine. But the issue is, in that budget, in that report, most of the CDOs and C-level said that 46% of them have budget constraints for upskilling. They don't have the money to upskill their workforce. They're not being given the money to upskill their workforce because it's something very difficult to measure ROI on. And particularly if we're putting that budget in and we're putting that thing in, what's going to happen? They're going to run off to the competitors with the volatility we've got in the market at the moment. It takes 10% longer to close today's capability gap than it did 3 years ago. On average, it's about 45 days, according to the Gartner report, that it takes to actually skill someone up in the necessary skills to start moving towards these kind of skills. And of the CEOs that were in the IBV, 50% of the organisations will lack sufficient AI and data literacy skills to achieve business value. So if we can't see the business value and we spent money on it, how can we with these constraints? Perhaps bootcamps are the answer. There's a lot of these flying around. If you're from a bootcamp and I've missed your logo, missed your name, then apologies. But certainly there's loads out in the market, and these are offering data science courses. They're offering, data visualization courses. They're offering all sorts of data skills that you can go spend a couple of weeks online or in one of their intensive environments and come out the data scientist of tomorrow, doubling your salary. The truth is that most of these focus on technology. Most of these focus on some of the fundamentals of today that are not going to exist tomorrow or would advance by tomorrow. And yes, it can be a short-term solution, but really it's very costly, takes quite a bit of intensive time, and may not, with so many in the market, may not actually give you the experience that employers look for or ask for to be able to actually get that job that's going to give you the increase in salary. And that's fine. So how about all these data softwares? Now, we as a business actually partner with the majority of these softwares, and I've got to apologise to Ravinder down in the corner because data stacks aren't on there, but yours is a database and not an analytical tool that will allow people to actually perform their job better, Alteryx, let's not learn all these kind of advanced data science skills. Let's create 1 or 2 data scientists, get them to build workflows that other people can deploy. Awesome. We don't need to upskill as many people. We don't need to upskill our workforce because some of this software and tools will do it for us. And that's great, but these become costly. We know an organisation who recently decided to spend a very hefty amount of money on training over the next 10 months a lot of people on 1 or 2 of these tools. And what happens tomorrow when the next silver bullet comes out? When one of these products is replaced by a new player, by a new data visualization tool, by a new AutoML tool? Where does that ROI come from? What's the investment you spent on paying for these tools and upskilling your team on how to use them? Again, we've got a conundrum. Right, open university. So we've got an internship program. We work with about 16 universities at the moment, 150 projects for data scientists and master data science students we've put through our nurture program, and there's loads of others out there. In the market, we identified 3 years ago 80 different universities that provide a master's in data science. And that's great. But unless you've got the degrees and the knowledge already, a master's is 1 year. If you need to relearn and retrain, we're looking at 3-4 years' time. It's not going to solve today's problem and the next kind of short-term problem. It's a long-term solution. Not to say any of these solutions are great, are not right, or in a combination don't work, but certainly what we're talking about here is developing a number of pretty much small part of our workforce in upskilling in data science, in data visualization, and these specific jobs that we know of today. So switching around a little bit, who can tell me or guess what do these 3 have in common? Anyone? No. Does anyone know who the first one is? No? Second one? No? Third one? I'm hoping some people in the audience know the third one. Right, okay, cool, brilliant. These 3 technology companies are technology companies that no longer exist, and actually all were ahead of their time in the marketplace. So Loud Cloud were a cloud-based platform. I won't put it on the screen in case I get sued, but let's call them AWS. Web TV was the first one to bring internet to your TV and to stream kind of technologies and internet into your TV box. No longer exist. Netflix. And Ask Jeeves was our favourite butler that we used to go on and ask loads of questions. Google. These all existed a number of years ago, yet they don't exist now. And why was that? They had some of the most inventive and best talent teams they could find at the time to create these new products. And what it comes down to is the top secret of how you get ROI for upskilling data skills. And that is that no one else in the market or in the organisations really understood what they were doing and why it was that they needed this. Why did we need web TV? There wasn't a need for it, or we didn't understand it until we see the challenges we have today. So whether you're looking to upskill yourself or whether you're looking to upskill your teams, the top secret question that I'll ask you is, do you speak data? It's an odd one, right? Because we're data professionals, we're at a data conference, yeah, we speak data. But imagine you've got the best data team in the world, all speaking English, yet your finance team can only speak French, your marketing team can only speak German. It's no point having fluency in English if you can't communicate and can't translate and speak and create a common language. As data professionals, we think, yeah, do you know what? What we're talking about here is data literacy. That's great, yeah. Our industries, all the people around us need to invest and grow their data literacy skills because they're really poor. You know, I know people in my business, they have no data literacy skills. When we take the Gartner description of data literacy, and I've highlighted some parts here that I want to kind of focus on. First of all, in the blue, data in context. So reading, writing, and communicating data in context, including understanding of data sources, constructs, analytical methods, and the ability to describe the use case, application, and resulting value. When we look at what's in blue, we're looking at data in context, describing use cases, and explaining value. As data professionals, do we really do this well? Do we really understand some of the stuff we're doing? Or is it part of a bigger project, a bigger program, and maybe we think there might be value, but can we explain it? So I'd question whether actually as data professionals, our data literacy skills are as advanced as they could be. The second part is, in the red, we've got communicate and understanding. What we're talking about here is not technology. It's not different models, it's not different methods, although they're in the definition, the core elements of it are communication and understanding. And these come to general people skills, soft skills. So instead of investing loads of time and money on new technologies, understanding and developing technology skills, why don't we spend the money on how we communicate, how we understand, and understand those basic principles that will then develop not just ourselves, but all of our teams in pushing data forward and understanding and increasing data literacy. So really, data literacy is a two-way street. Us as data professionals need to increase our own data literacy, and we need to increase the data literacy of our data consumers. And I asked some of these questions. I talked about how great we are at data professionals to be data literate, but can we explain our algorithms to not just a manager, but to our customer? You know, can one of your data scientists or you as a data scientist stand in front of a non-technical, non-business, even non-business person, one of your customers, and explain, this is how we recommended that you watch X, Y, or Z. This is why we thought buying this product was the right product for you to buy. And answer their questions to say, well, what made you think that? Or why am I like them? You know? Questions about, are the outputs meaningful and are they easy to understand? Even in some of our own analytics, some of the reports, we had a kind of question around a line chart of there's no correlation between the categories, so why is it a line chart? You know, and that's for a data conference like this, still not maybe choosing what's the best result or the best solution to make it easy to understand to those that maybe are less data literate. And then, does the business understand the use case and why we need it, which is the point I made earlier. On the consumer side, we've got things, do our managers understand data definitions? Do they understand the metrics of what we're showing them? Or do they assume what they think it is? If you're kind of in a business and thinking about data literacy, data metrics and definitions for your organisation is one of the key things. I'd say get together, pick a few, define a few, get a common data language. Do users understand the importance of the data, and can our customers read and digest the data that we're showing them? So not just your organisation internally, but what is it we're showing to our customers? Are they data literate? Are we making it easy for them to understand? If we click it, there we go. When it comes to this kind of training, we've got lots of different individuals, we've got lots of different people at different levels. Some people will be more advanced, telling your data scientist team, you know, go in, or being a data scientist going, oh, you're not going to learn some technology stuff, we're going to go back to the fundamentals, you know, what colour should we pick on our pie chart? You know, putting them into training sessions like that isn't always the most fun or the most interesting. So in order to create a great upskilling program, it needs to be modularized. You need to start, again, everyone at that basic fundamentals, and then allow people to grow, allow people to develop and advance their skills. Some people might be up here already, you know. Don't cut off your shooting stars. Don't not provide investment to them or give them training, because otherwise they're going to get bored and leave. So a modularized development program gets it into bite-sized chunks. Even as a data professional, being at the conference today, this kind of stuff is overwhelming. How many technologies, how many different vendors, how many different solutions there are. Learning it all in one go is never going to work. So make sure things are bite-sized. And just make sure it's personalised. Bring real life use cases in. Bring real world challenges into your training, into your elements, and get your people discussing about data, about what we're trying to achieve. And finally, as I said, provide that progression. Allow them to progress. Allow them to want to do more, want to learn more. And by doing the kind of SME routes and breaking this up, this could be, I'm really interested in data ethics. I'm really interested in data governance. I don't need to know about analytics that much. I just need to know the basic fundamentals, and I can specialise in the areas that I want that affect me the most. And by doing that, you give people their own progression routes, and you prevent them from leaving because they want to learn, they want to stay, because you're providing those progression routes. So really, upskilling is people-focused, and even as an individual, as an enterprise, we don't need to spend lots and lots of money going out to upskill ourselves, our organisations, or the wider community. There's already loads of almost free things, or really low-cost things that we can do to upskill ourselves. How many people? You're all here at conference today, right? You all want to learn. You're learning stuff here, but hold hackathons. We held a hackathon with Macmillan, and they brought together a combination of 15 of their analysts and their business consumers that don't really touch data but see the end results to discuss the challenges along with students in a room on one day. Now, some of the technology that we used on that day, yes, it fast-tracked the process, but essentially you had business professionals understanding the challenges that the data teams see on a day-to-day basis, and you had data professionals telling the business how things are going through and what they're actually doing. And then you had students bringing in new, innovative ideas and learning themselves. Very low cost, people focused, but upskilling a wide variety in the market. Meetups, whether Skills Matter is here in a couple of months or not, there will be somewhere else that has a massive, there's already loads of places, a massive number of meetups on weeknights, on weekdays, breakfast briefings. Get your teams to them, get yourself to them. You're always going to learn more and understand more of what people are doing in the organisation, more than what you can learn on one course over a 2-week period. Again, get your teams together, have a discussion, and come to conferences like this. So training and upskilling is just one element of building the workforce of tomorrow. At Eden Smith, we have our workforce re-engineering model, which essentially looks at how do you do a data talent strategy or any emerging market talent strategy. Training is a big element of that. The other elements we've got are things around creating mobility internal of your business, understanding where your skills are, understanding what skills you're needed. What do we need? We want to upskill in data literacy, but actually where else do we need to upskill? What other skills can we transfer, can we look at and say they can plug the gaps? Because not going to lie, even from having a history of recruitment myself, and us doing that as part of our business, it's an expensive way to market. And when there's very little talent out there, what happens is salaries go up, contractor market goes up, and you have to bring really expensive resources in, or you go out to a consultancy and pay lots of money. So this way, the external market is a very costly way of doing it. If you can understand who in your organisation, what skills they have and what gaps you have, and upskill as a majority of people in your organisation as possible, you will save money and you can create an ROI. If you want to hear more about the full model, and any of you are here tomorrow, then at 2:30 in this theatre, we'll be going through each element and helping you how you build that talent strategy and pull it all together. I've realised I'm probably talking very fast here. We've also got the VIP lounge, Eden Smith League VIP lounge, to come along, chat to us, stand 227, and there's also our contact details there. I have detected a workout on my page, and I think, how am I doing for time? I think we've got 10 minutes for questions, if I'm right.